Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today, I'm going to share a story, not just about one person, but about a dream, a journey where you have to leave a simple life behind and build yourself in a completely new world. This is the story of my USA journey. So let's begin. My life started in a pretty ordinary setting. Everything was predictable, every day almost the same. Maybe that's why I always felt restless, wanting to do something different, something big. As a kid, when I looked up at the sky, I didn't just see clouds. I felt like there was a huge world behind them, a world where people make their dreams come true, where opportunities never end. School days passed. Everything was fine. But inside me, this question kept popping up. Am I going to spend my whole life here? And that's when the thinking started, the kind of thinking that changed my whole life. One day, I heard about USA in detail for the first time, a place where people come from far and wide for one reason, to make their dreams come true. Since that day, the USA wasn't just a country for me, it became a dream. But friends, as beautiful as a dream looks, achieving it is just as tough. As I grew up, I realized going to the USA isn't easy. I didn't have a strong background, nor a guide to show me the way. Honestly, many times I thought this dream might just stay a dream. But there was always a voice inside me. If you don't try, you'll regret it your whole life. And maybe that was the moment I decided, I'm definitely going to try. Now the story started getting serious. I began focusing on my studies, not just for marks, but to improve myself. The biggest challenge was English, because I knew if I wanted to go to the USA, strong communication was a must. The beginning was really hard. Whenever I tried speaking English, words got stuck. My confidence was zero. People sometimes laughed, but I made one decision. No stopping now. I started practicing daily, standing in front of the mirror, speaking, watching videos and repeating, and most importantly, talking to myself. Slowly, I started improving. Small changes began to show. And that's when I realized, consistency beats talent every time. But friends, the real challenge was yet to come. I had to prepare for a level where competition is fierce. I started preparing for exams, filling out applications. Every step brought a new problem. Sometimes documents were missing. Sometimes I didn't understand the process. Sometimes financial issues popped up. Many times it felt all too complicated, and I wondered if I could even do it. But the turning point came when I asked myself, if you give up today, where will you be 5 years from now? I didn't have an answer. That's when I decided, no matter what, I will try till the end. Every day became a mission. Wake up, study, check applications. And before sleeping, I'd ask myself, what did I do today for my dream? Days passed. And then came the phase I had been waiting for so long. Applications were submitted. Now just waiting. But waiting wasn't easy. Anxiety every day. Heart racing at every notification. Fear opening every email. Sometimes I thought maybe nothing will happen. Maybe it was all wasted. But then I reminded myself, you worked hard. Now trust. And then one day, the day came that changed everything. I opened my email. There was a message. At first, I didn't even read it carefully. But when I looked again, it said, congratulations. That one word changed my whole world. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding. I couldn't believe it was real. I kept reading that email again and again. like I was afraid it might be a dream. But no, it was real. I was selected. I still feel that moment today. There was happiness, excitement, but also fear. Because what was coming next was going to be the biggest change in my life. Now the story was entering a new phase. No longer was it just about dreaming. Now it was about living that dream. And that's where the real journey begins. A journey where every day brings a challenge, where every step teaches something new, and most importantly, where I had to completely change myself. But at that time, I didn't know what was ahead. I only knew one thing. There's no turning back now. No more just dreaming. Now I had to live the dream. And then the day came, when I took my first flight to the USA. Standing at the airport, I felt a strange mix of emotions: excitement, fear, and mostly uncertainty. When the plane took off and I left my old world behind, there was only one thought in my heart. Whatever happens now, it will be something totally new. After many hours, I finally reached the USA. The moment I stepped on that land, everything felt different. Big roads, tall buildings, different people, new culture. Everything was just like I had seen in videos. But still, something was missing. And that was a sense of belonging. The first few days flew by in excitement, exploring the new place, getting to know the surroundings. But slowly, reality started sinking in. Language became the biggest barrier. People spoke English so fast. Their accents were so different that many times I couldn't understand. Many times someone would ask me something, and I'd just say yes without really understanding, only later realizing I gave the wrong response. It was awkward and frustrating. But friends, the real challenge was yet to come. Loneliness began. For the first time in my life, I felt completely alone. No family, no friends, no one to talk to openly. Sometimes, sitting alone at night, I'd just think, did I make the right decision? And honestly, there were moments when I seriously thought, maybe I should go back. But the real turning point came. One day, I looked at myself in the mirror and asked a simple question. Why did you come here? And I got the answer instantly. For my dream. That day, I decided, no matter what happens, I won't give up. My mindset had changed. I started putting myself out there, talking to people, even if I made mistakes, participating in class, even with low confidence. And slowly, things started changing. Now the story reached a new level. The education phase had begun. Classes were tough, assignments challenging, expectations very high. It wasn't just about studying. Self-learning was crucial. If you didn't push yourself, no one else would. And that's when the real pressure started. Not just studies, but survival too. So I started a part-time job, classes during the day, work in the evenings, assignments at night. Sometimes it felt like 24 hours just weren't enough. I was so tired that sometimes I'd fall asleep while eating. But inside there was a fire, driving me forward. And that's when I learned a big life lesson. There's no shortcut to hard work. Slowly, I got used to this lifestyle. I learned how to manage time, set priorities, and most importantly, handle stress. But friends, challenges weren't over. Now another thing came up. Self-doubt. Many times it felt like others were smarter than me. Their English was better, their confidence higher, and in those moments, doubting yourself feels natural. but I learned one thing. Comparison only holds you back. So I shifted my focus. Instead of comparing with others, I focused on improving myself, trying to be a little better every day, and slowly results started showing. I was more confident than before. I wasn't scared to talk to people anymore. And most importantly, I started believing in myself. Then came the moment that made me feel I was on the right path. I got my first internship. It wasn't just an opportunity. It was proof that my hard work was paying off. I remember the first day, nervous, but excited too. New place, new people, and a chance to prove myself. The start wasn't easy. I made mistakes. Sometimes I didn't understand things, but I learned from every mistake. And gradually my performance improved. People started noticing me, and that's when I realized I'm making progress. But friends, the story doesn't end here, because what came next was going to be the biggest turning point in my life. The internship experience slowly showed me a new world. I was no longer just a student. I had stepped into the real world. Every day was a learning experience. Sometimes success, sometimes mistakes. But the best part was, I started trusting myself more than ever. Then the day came, when my internship was about to end, and one question was on my mind. What's next? Will I get a job? Can I settle here? Or will I have to go back to struggling again? But the real turning point came. One day my manager called me. I was a bit nervous, not knowing what he'd say. I sat in front of him. After a few seconds of silence, he said, "We are impressed with your work." That one line filled me with excitement. Then he added, "We want to offer you a full-time position." I still feel that moment. A smile spread across my face. There was a strange happiness inside. Because this wasn't just a job, it was the result of my hard work. Now the story reached a new level. I officially became a working professional. First job, first salary, and most importantly, first financial independence. When my first paycheck hit my account, it wasn't just money. It was proof of my confidence. It felt like I had completed a big step in life. But friends, as soon as you complete one level, life takes you to the next. Now the challenges changed. It wasn't just about working. It was about proving myself. Every day brought new pressure. Every project was a new test. Sometimes deadlines were tight. Sometimes expectations were sky high. And sometimes things went out of control. In those moments, frustration was normal. But it's when I learned another important lesson. Pressure doesn't break you. It shapes you. I started accepting every challenge, seeing every problem as an opportunity. Slowly, my performance improved. My work gained value. People started taking my ideas seriously. And that's when the real phase of growth began. Now the story was heading towards its peak. After some time, I got promoted. It wasn't just a change in title. It was the next milestone in my journey. Responsibilities increased. Decisions became bigger, and their impact too. Now I had to think not just for myself, but for the whole team. At first, it was overwhelming. Many times I wondered if I was ready for this level. But then I reminded myself, I've come this far, so I must have done something right. And that thought kept pushing me. Gradually, I became comfortable in the role. I learned how to handle challenges, manage situations, and most importantly, work with people. But friends, every success comes with a new test, and now a new challenge appeared. Work-life balance. Work kept increasing, responsibilities too. Many times, my personal life was left behind. Sometimes weekends were spent working. Sometimes I didn't even get time to talk to family. And in those moments, I realized success isn't just about money. Balance is very important. That's when I started understanding my priorities. I learned life isn't just about career. Mental peace is equally important. Slowly, I began creating balance, making time for myself along with work, taking care of my health, and maintaining relationships. Life started becoming a bit stable, but deep inside I still felt the journey wasn't over yet. And that was true, because what was coming next wasn't just about my career. It was going to define my whole identity. Because what was coming next wasn't just about career. It was about who I am. This journey had taught me a lot. I had become a different person, but the real change was yet to come. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was growing. And that's when I started understanding myself deeply. I began asking, what do I really want? Is a job all my life is about? Or can I do more? And that's where self-discovery began. I started exploring my interests, learning new skills, stepping out of my comfort zone and accepting new challenges. Slowly, I realized the USA gave me more than just a career. It gave me a new way of thinking. Here, I learned failure isn't the end. It's feedback. Here I learned taking risks is necessary. Because without risk, there's no growth. And most importantly, here I learned to believe in myself. Now the story had reached a new perspective at its peak. By 2026, my life had become pretty stable. Career was in a good place. Income was steady. Lifestyle comfortable. But if someone asked me, what's your biggest achievement? I'd say, self-transformation. Because when I look back, I remember that person who came to the USA for the first time, confused, nervous, a little scared inside, and now I see myself confident, independent, ready for anything. This change didn't happen overnight. It's the result of small efforts every day. But friends, this journey wasn't just about success. There were failures too, mistakes, and moments when everything seemed to go wrong. Sometimes problems at work, sometimes wrong decisions. Sometimes people doubted me. But every time I did one thing. I didn't stop. I took every fall as a lesson and stood up again because I understood. Real failure is when you stop trying. Now, if someone asks me, was coming to the USA worth it? My answer is always yes, but for a different reason. It's not just a country. It's a journey. A journey where you discover yourself, test yourself, and finally create yourself. The USA didn't give me success. It made me the person who can achieve success. And maybe that's its greatest value. Now the story's almost over, but before I go, I want to say something from the heart. If you have a dream, no matter how big, don't ignore it. Because every big change starts with a small decision. The path might not be easy. People might not understand you. You might doubt yourself many times. But if you're committed to your dream, no force in the world can stop you. Remember, dreams aren't what you see when you sleep. Dreams are what keep you awake. And if you chase that dream, one day you'll look back and say, this journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. So friends, That was the whole story of my life in the USA, a journey with fear, struggle, but most of all, growth. If you liked this story, please like, share, and tell me in the comments, what's your dream? Because who knows? The next story might be yours. We'll meet again with a new story. Till then, keep dreaming, keep growing, and never give up. Thank you for watching.